is about that time. Definitely. Definitely is about that time in the healing journey, y'all. And what I'm talking about specifically about that time is just really stepping into what self-love really is. Self-love. But not even just self-love, like a little bit more in depth than that. I'm talking about actually like not needing another person to feel like you're loved, or to feel, just like I was saying in the video yesterday or in my last video. I'm making this video the next day, but I'm most likely not gonna post it, the day after. So when I say the next day, I'm talking about the video I just made, my first video. But I just really felt like coming and talking about this because I'm sorry, I'm like wanting to say so much, so I'm like trying to make sure it comes out okay. For me, on a personal standpoint, and I don't know if anybody else goes through this, but there's just been a lot of times where I felt like, and this is just also seeing like how my father wasn't with his relationships. Like he was always bouncing from one person to the next person. Like whenever one relationship wasn't working out, on to the next one, like right after, never giving that time to fully heal from whatever he was going through with that person. And so ultimately, whatever he went through with his past relationship ended up happening in the next relationship, and that's how that relationship ended too. And it just kept being a continuous cycle and a continuous cycle, and the same thing started happening with me in my relationships. And my brother lives with me now, same thing with him. I see it happening with him, and it's fine. It finally clicked for me, especially seeing it from his point of view. That is something that we picked up from, what we seen growing up. Programming, just like I was saying in my last video. And for me as a person too, I don't like being alone. And again, if anybody else feels that way, I know what it's like. And so you keep yourself in a situation that's not entirely good for you because you don't want to be alone. And I've finally come to that awareness, and and that's why I wanted to come and talk about it on this video, and put it out there for whoever hears it, because you don't need another person to know that you are beautiful. You don't need another person to know that you are loved, to know that you are enough, to know that you are, whatever and everything that you already are without that other person. And not saying that you have to fully heal by yourself, because I know it's scary to be alone. I don't like being alone. I really don't. That's one of my biggest fears, and I feel like that's exactly why I need to do this. Like, just completely put my love life on pause right now and just completely focus on learning to be okay with just me and my energy and who I want to grow into. Because how can I put this? Grow, like, yes, you can ultimately heal with another person. That is true, because healing ultimately takes a lifetime. It takes a lifetime. Anybody that says like oh, I'm not ready to be in a relationship because of this, that, and the third, which is very respectable. It's very, very respectable. I'm not knocking anybody that ever says that to anyone. Healing does take a lifetime though. It's an ongoing process, but there is a point in time where you can be in your healing journey where you can heal with the other person, whether that's somebody that you took a break from or is somebody new that also has gone through trauma. But I feel like for me on a personal level, I'm just at a place where I just need to be alone for a little while. You just gotta do it, you know? Face that fear of your abandonment wounds, your codependency wounds, and just face it head on. It's scary. And I've been thinking about this for the past few months. And these past few weeks it's been on my mind heavy, specifically heavy, and I've been sitting on it because I've been scared to do it. I've been so scared to do it, but it's like it's needed. It's much needed. And I feel like once I overcome that fear, I'll finally be able to have a healthy relationship. You know what I mean? Finally we'll be able to have a healthier relationship. Let me be realistic. Finally be able to have a healthier relationship, because most people don't realize, and it's not really anybody's fault because nobody really knows until they go through like therapy or they actually had a healthy background with somebody. But you need to take the time when you break up with somebody to take the time and actually replenish yourself of that person's energy and really like just really cleanse. just cleanse. Like I know it sounds like an exorcism, but that's kind of what it's like though. And because it's not even just in relationships, but if you realize everybody's energy kind of like you just, not saying that you feed off of anybody's energy. I mean, yes, there are like leech, you know, like what's the term, like energy vampires or whatever you want to call it. But when you have somebody that's like you're around all the time, like 24/7, whether it's a sibling that you're really cool with or just like a best friend or even somebody you're in a relationship with, you inevitably just start to mimic each other. It's inevitable. It happens. Whether it's you guys start doing the same gestures, having the same laugh, liking the same things. Sorry if it sounds like I have a lisp. I have my retainers in, so I kind of hear it right now. It's kind of making me want to laugh. But anyways, and again, just you start to mimic each other. Whether they start dressing the same hairstyle, liking the same things, whether it's movies, food, whatever the case is, you just start to mimic each other. And it's all on a subconscious level. Nobody really realizes that they're doing it until somebody says like dang, did you guys plan to wear the same thing today? And it's like, actually no, we didn't. And that is like it's a real thing. And so when you've been in a relationship with somebody and you were in that relationship and it started turning toxic, or somebody was very abusive, or somebody was, you know, either it was physical abuse, mental abuse, verbal abuse, whatever, that it clings to you. It clings to you and it will follow you into your next relationships if you don't take the time to heal from it. And, you know, just know that whatever relationship you get into with the next person, it won't happen. Not everybody is the same. Now, don't get me wrong. Yes, you will sometimes fall into the same relationships or the same patterns with people, but I feel like that happens because, you know, like I was saying in my last video, people go have, lessons to learn throughout their life. That's what I believe. Everybody has lessons that they're supposed to learn throughout their life. So if you're consistently running into the same BS with the same person in each and every relationship, there's a term for that, or a phrase that I'm missing with that. Like, what is it? Basically, it's like you're meeting the same person in a different body. Like, no matter what relationship you're in, you go through the same circumstances, and you're kind of like dang. And after a while, you start thinking like, dang, I must just really just attract all the assholes. But it's not really their fault though, because it's something that you're missing about yourself. It's something that you're missing that you need to work on. And again, if I am triggering anybody, I do apologize, but my whole purpose of this is to really help people that are going through the same things that I am going through. And being that I'm becoming more aware of my own BS, I want to help other people that are also going through the same thing. And so again, like, you really just gotta be aware of what you're missing. And that is one of the things I have been missing. Because I've always been the type of person who, always wanted that fairy tale type of love, that power couple type of love, and it's kind of like that's something that I was striving for so much that I was willing to sacrifice myself and my own happiness to have it. You know what I mean? And my heart isn't in a bad place, but it's like you gotta learn who to give that love to. Not everybody deserves that love. Not everybody deserves that level of love. And you just gotta realize that within yourself, that it's okay to be alone. If you're somebody that has, abandonment issues and codependency issues, I'm pretty sure not everybody that's gonna watch this video has that problem, but if you do, that is something definitely to reflect on within yourself, because that is one thing that I am definitely working on within myself right now. And again, it is going to be scary and it is going to be a day-to-day process, but I'm, and I will update you guys for sure, but it's definitely that time for me though, to really work on just being comfortable in my own energy. And if I end up back with that person, cool. But at the end of the day, we both got things to work on. It's not just me. We both have things to work on. And it's kind of like I was saying in the last video, yes, like it is my fault. I'm taking accountability from my side because I didn't take the time to heal from my past issues and past relationships. But being that I didn't do that, I went from being a victim to turning myself into, the aggressor, I guess you would call it. And I'm not saying that I like became the abuser. No. I'm talking about like going from one side to the other. I'm talking about I started just being very just self-sabotaging the relationship, because I started feeling like they, if they would do something that would trigger me, that made me feel like they were cheating on me, I would just start overthinking and just feeling triggered and start assuming that they're doing something that's against me, and this, that, and the third. And it's like, And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that every situation isn't sketchy, okay? But it's like, I should be able to have a partner who, if I tell them like, hey, what you're doing right now is really affecting me. So if we could work on something, so, you know, I don't feel like that again, or like if we could just talk about the situation, you know, I should be able to be in a relationship comfortable enough, or anybody should be in a relationship comfortable enough to feel that way. You know what I mean? And it's also too where, and again, it's not completely the other person's fault, because yes, if you are not used to dealing with somebody who has those issues and has those triggers, it's kind of hard for the other person to be like, oh, well, that's not my problem. That sounds like a you problem. Like, just because you're thinking that way, what does that have to do with me? And they're not completely incorrect with that. They're not completely incorrect with that. Can't knock them for that. But if you're somebody that truly cares about me and my feelings, then it's kind of like, okay, well, what can I do to fix that? Because I'm somebody personally who wants to know everything about my person. Like, I want to know everything. I want to know what makes you tick. Like, I want to know what makes you happy. I want to know what makes you sad. I want to know what makes you aroused. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I want to know everything about you. Tell me everything. Please tell me about your traumas. Please tell me about your trauma, so I don't ever do that to you, so that you feel like you're unsafe in our relationship. Tell me. Please tell me. Please tell me. I would love to know. Like, okay, so you know, if somebody were to tell me like, hey, like, in my past relationships, they didn't really communicate thoroughly with me, so it's one of my issues now. Okay, well, what can I do? What would make you feel comfortable? You know, so like, what kind of communication do you need? Now, there's a difference between somebody trying to control you and somebody just trying to, you know, communicate with you. Because I know sometimes with communication, somebody's like, oh, I need to know where you're going, this and this and this. No, absolutely not. Because then by the time we see each other, there ain't gonna be nothing to talk about, because you don't know what I did throughout my whole day. So now we don't have nothing. We have nothing to talk about. There's nothing to make no conversation about. You don't know what I did throughout my whole day. That's not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is just thorough communication, you know? Like, if I'm expecting you to be home at a certain time, you know, it's 8 o'clock at night, and I'm expecting you to be home in like an hour or two, and next thing you know, you don't come home until 4 o'clock in the morning, and it's like, all right, where have you been? And you're saying, and you know, the other person wants to make it seem like, oh, why you coming at me asking me that question? What do you mean? And it's like, okay, it's just a question, you know? Things like that. There's a difference. You got to differentiate and use your own discernment when it comes to certain things. I'm not saying to look over red flags. That's my point. That is my whole point to that. But there is some things where it's like, you're overthinking. And honestly, there is nothing wrong with overthinkers, okay? I just found out about this saying recently. Overthinkers are overlovers, when there's nothing wrong with that. It's just, you gotta learn who to give that love to and who not to. Who deserves it and who doesn't. That's the only thing that you gotta figure out. Because again, like I just said, not everybody deserves your love. You gotta learn to pick them. You gotta learn to pick them, for sure. Just gotta learn to truly love yourself. Truly love yourself. Like, truly love yourself. And again, it is scary. It is scary to be alone. To anybody that is like one genuine fear of theirs, I get it. I'm right there with you. And it is okay. Like I said, I will keep y'all in touch. Keep y'all updated, because this is gonna be it's just definitely gonna be a challenge for me, but I am up for it. I am up to that challenge. Definitely up for it. And again, like, if you're somebody who's like, okay, well, if I let that person go, what if I never get them back? And it's like, you gotta learn to just let it go. You gotta learn to let it go. And I'm not saying it's gonna happen overnight. It's gonna take some time. But also too, it's kind of like, you gotta think about it. Do you want to stay in that situation and keep getting more toxic day as the days go by, day by day by day? Or do you want to take that break, work on yourself, and come back healed or more healed? Because again, nobody's fully healed ever. Nobody's ever fully healed. But you'll just be to the point where you're able to know what your triggers are, and you'll be able to have better coping mechanisms and better ways of handling your anxiety and not having over the top reactions, and just things, being more aware of yourself, of who you are, just being more aware of yourself. Doesn't that sound better? And it's like, if you do end up going to that person, or that person ends up coming back to you, then hey, then obviously y'all were meant to be. But at the same time, it's like, if that person never comes back to you, like if you tell them like, hey, I think I just need time for me right now, and that person leaves and never comes back, obviously it just wasn't meant for you. And vice versa. If that person just ends up leaving you, and then never come back, and apologize or whatever the case may be, then it just wasn't meant to be. But just know that just because that person isn't coming back does not mean that you won't get something better. Because you will. But you have to believe in that, though. If you're sitting here thinking negatively, just like I said in my last video, if you're sitting here thinking negatively about the situation, it's not going to happen. But if you really do want that person back, you got to believe that you guys will both work on the situation apart so y'all can come back together stronger. You got to believe in it. You have to. Because, again, at the end of the day, that just helps you to be more at peace with yourself. And not sit here worrying about something that may or may not come back. This has been a lot. I'm not gonna lie to y'all. It's been a lot. And I've kind of like been in a place where it's kind of exhausting. Being self-aware is so exhausting. Like it's so exhausting. Like I feel like every single day is just a constant, I don't want to say battle, but it just feels like a constant, like, I guess battle is a good word. But it just feels like a constant battle that I'm having with myself. But in a good way. It's just exhausting because as you go on this healing journey too, you'll start seeing other people's like toxic side, and sometimes it'll make you want to laugh, because it's like, dang, like you got a long way to go. You got a long way to go. But yeah, talking about that though, when you start healing, you'll start to realize that when somebody's overreacting or having like an overtop reaction to whatever is going on, it's kind of like dang, who hurt you? And you start to have more compassion for them, like dang, like I know this isn't I know what you're doing right now isn't about me, and you're just really hurt right now from all that pent up anger you got inside of you. So, but keep it in check though. keep it in check. Don't bring it over here. At the end of the day, don't bring that shit over here. Excuse me. But yeah, I just really had to come down here and make this video before all this like left my mind, cause yeah, definitely I would have came down here and had a whole big ass brain fart if I didn't. I literally, like, I just got out the shower and I ran down here and did it. It was like I needed to make this video before it leaves my mind. So I'm hungry, so I'm gonna go back upstairs and make me something to eat, and I'll see y'all in the next video. Have a good rest of your day or night whenever you watch this video, and I'll see y'all later.